Alright, so let's talk about Cucumber in this module. So Cucumber is mostly used for behavior driven development, right? So that we also call as BDD. BDD is basically a short form of behavior driven development. So most of the companies like they are working on Cucumber. Cucumber basically it was started through Ruby, right? It was basically a part of Ruby first, then the Java API also came into the market, and people in Selenium industry, they have started using Cucumber and started designing the framework using this Cucumber API and integrated Selenium API with it, right? So first of all, we should understand the approach that is used in BDD, right? What this Cucumber is all about and what this behavior driven development all about, right? So before starting working on Cucumber, we should first understand the approach of BDD. Now let's say I open up a notepad and let's say I need to develop a feature, or let's say I need to test a login feature. So how would I say that in a layman language, right? Let's say I'll write go to the website, right? It could be any website, that is facebook.com, right? And then I'll say enter username and password, and then I'll write click on sign in, and then I'll write validate the login is successful or not, right? So these lines, any person who is not technical can easily understand these lines, right? So now in BDD our approach is similar. It means that the coding is done in the similar way that even a person who is not very techy can also understand that what the feature is doing, right? So in Cucumber we create a feature file, or which we also called as a user stories, right, where we do coding in such a manner which actually looks like these lines only, right? And Cucumber read these lines and the keyword hidden in these lines and execute the scenario accordingly, and that is what we call as a behavior driven approach. So it's just an overview to make you understand that what BDD is. So Cucumber is one of the API which implements BDD. There are other APIs as well in the market, like let's talk about JBehave, which is most widely used, right? So I am coming with a tutorial on JBehave as well soon, right? So since there are some companies who are using Cucumber when integrate it with Selenium, and there are some companies who are using JBehave as well, right? So in this module we're gonna talk about Cucumber first, right? So Cucumber, let's say if you go to a website, there is a website cukes.info, right? So this is a website which gives you a brief idea about what Cucumber project is, right? If you see over here, if you see these lines, right, let's say describe behavior in a plain text, right? So we are defining describing a behavior. A behavior says that there is a feature called addition, right? In order to avoid silly mistakes as a math idiot, I want to be told the sum of two numbers, right? So now the scenario over here is add two numbers, right? So we need to develop a scenario which will actually gonna add two numbers. So given I have entered 50 into the calculator and I have entered 70 into the calculator. So these are basically two numbers that we need to add. When I press add, then the result should be 120 on the screen, right? So this is one of the scenario, and you can see in order as I want, given, and when, then. These are the keywords These are the keywords that Cucumber will gonna understand and execute the result accordingly, right? So we're gonna discuss about these in more detail, how these features are created, how we gonna add scenarios to these features, right? In this website you'll find most of the information present in Ruby, right? So we're gonna do the same thing in Java, since there is a Java API also available for the same, right? So what I'll do, I'll open up Eclipse and I'll create a new project first. And let's say I give this a name as Cucumber BDD, right? Click OK. And okay, already I have this project in my system. So what I'll do, I'll create a new workspace and I'll give it a name, Cucumber BDD begins. So it will gonna take few seconds. All right, and here I'm gonna create a new project, and it's a Java project. So I'll give it a name as Cucumber starts, right? Any name you can give to this project. So in this, first we're gonna understand the basics of Cucumber, right? Right now, I'm not talking about Selenium. I'm not talking about Webdriver. I'm not talking about any framework right now, right? No automation framework. I'm just discussing about what is Cucumber and how we can work using Cucumber, right? So first we need to understand the basic concepts that we're gonna use in Cucumber, right? So I'll create a new package over here and give this package name as, let's say, com.w2a.cucumber, right? And then I'll create a new file and give this a name as, let's say, test.feature, right? So this will be a plain notepad file, right? It's a plain file where I will be writing a story, right? So let's say which story we should write over here. So I'll be testing a feature, or I'll be developing a feature, and the feature is, let's say, I'll write feature, and this should be about testers, right? So what I'll write, in order to get a high paid job, right, as a tester, I want to learn automation, right? So this is a feature. Now how a scenario will go, I'll write scenario. See, each and everything over here that you see, this feature, in order to, as, I, scenario, these all things should be case sensitive because these are hidden keywords, right? So I'll write over here, I am a manual tester. So scenario is that I am a manual tester, and I'll write, given I am a manual tester, when I apply for a job, then I got a less paid job and I am not satisfied with my salary, but my parents are still satisfied, right? So I've written a story over here, right? It looks like a story, right? This feature is about a tester, and in order to get a high paid job as a tester, I want to learn automation. And a scenario, we are talking about a manual tester first. So given I'm a manual tester, I apply for a job, then I got a less paid job. I'm not satisfied with my salary, but my parents are still satisfied, right? So how we gonna execute this feature? In order to execute it, I'll be creating a new Java file, and let's say I'll give the name of this Java file as tester.java, right? So I'll be implementing all these keywords over here. So what I'll do, the very beginning, I'll write @given, right? This is a keyword. So this given is actually an annotation over here, a Cucumber annotation, right? So this Cucumber, how it works, it's basically a wrapper over JUnit, right? So you remember what annotations are we have seen in JUnit and TestNG, right? So how it executes, we're gonna execute the Cucumber code through JUnit, right? So it's like a wrapper on the annotations JUnit, right? So how we gonna write it? I'll say given, and here I'll be writing that scenario. Scenario is, let's say, given I am a manual tester, right? So the same thing that I've mentioned over here, I need to mention in this annotation like this. And this will be a method public void, let's say I am a manual tester, right? So for the time being, I'll keep the method name same as this, right? I'll say I am a manual. You can give any name to this method. I'm just keeping this same just to make you understand how Cucumber actually works, right? So I'll import this annotation. Before doing this, I would be needing the Cucumber jars, right? We'll be doing this through pom.xml using Maven as well, using the dependencies of Cucumber, right? But before going to that, before showing you how what all dependencies we would be needing it through Maven, I'll first do it by adding the jar files manually. I'll add the Cucumber jar files manually. So I'll go over here, and these are all the jars I would be needing. So I'll give you these jar files. You can download it from my website, right? And I'll click on OK. And now if I take my mouse over here, I'll get this import given from Cucumber API. I'll add this and the error will be gone. And inside it, for the time being, I'll just write @given. I'll just print this thing, and I am a manual tester, right? Now same way I will be implementing other all these keywords, right? So I'll say @when and public void I apply for a job. I apply for a job, right? And in this I'll be printing when I apply for a job. This will be my second method, and then I'll write public void I got a less paid job, and this will be @then. Right, so see, these all are annotations. If you want to see what all annotations are there, what you need to do, I'll just add this, and if you see over here, if I go over here and let's say when I import this, and let's say when I say control this and I click over here, it will take me to this API, to the package where this is implemented, right? You can see that these are all the classes. Every annotation is a class, right? And but, given, then, when, and the same thing we have implemented in this file. So there is and, then but, then given, when, and then, right? So that is what we're gonna see the implementation, how it works. So Cucumber works around these annotations only, right? So then I'll write then I got less paid job, and then I'll say and public void not satisfied with the salary, and I'll add these. Right, so just be with me for some time if you're not if you're still not able to understand why I'm doing all these things, right? Just be with me, just try to see what the execution will happen when I execute it, right? And in some time it will be very much clear to you how we're going to use Cucumber and how we're going to design a framework using Cucumber and Webdriver, right? So just be with me, and then I'll say but, I'll write but I'll need to copy this, and I'll say public void and I'll say but and I'll import this, right? So I'm done. Now what I'll do, I need a runner to run this what you say, these annotations. If you remember, in JUnit we have a runner class, we have created a suit class, right? So where we write @run with annotation. So same thing in Cucumber as well, we need a runner. So I'll create a new class and I'll say test runner class, right? And on top of it I'll write @run with cucumber dot class. That's all we need to write in this. And if I right click over here, I'll say run as, I'll get this option JUnit test, since I told you that it's a wrapper, these annotations, JUnit, it's a wrapper around JUnit. So if I run this as Eclipse, so you will see that all these steps, all these scenarios and steps are executed and passed, right? Everything has been executed. If you see the JUnit report, you'll see a feature about tester, then there is a scenario, I am a manual tester, and these are what we have executed inside it, right? And this is how a report will be generated as well. So this is our first scenario as a manual tester. I can add more scenarios as well to this feature, right? So what I can do, let's say the first scenario was a manual tester. I'll just copy these things and paste it over here. So my second scenario will be, let's say, an automation tester. So I'll say I am given I am an automation tester. When I apply for a job, then I got a high paid job and I am very satisfied with my salary. My parents are let's say highly satisfied, right? Now what happens over here, when I run this, when I again run this, in the result you're gonna see that the first one is executed, but on the second scenario, right, I'm getting something like this. There is something missing in the implementation, right? It's saying that I need to add these two things before adding these statements, right? Now I need to include all these things. So how I am going to do this means that the starts with the beginning, and this means the ends with ending, right? So in every line, in every statement, or in every annotation, I need to write something like this, and then the dollar, then this, and then the dollar, and then this, then the dollar, and this, then the dollar, then this, then the dollar, right? And also let's say if I run this again, you can still see that there are some errors. It says that the regular expression above with the code you wish had thrown a pending exception, right? So we need to express some regular expression as in, if you see over here, we have called manual tester, right? And we have called less paid, but over here the first scenario is manual tester, but the second one is automation tester, right? So what we need to do over here, we need to call these values from the feature file, right, into this tester file. So we need to add some regular expression. A regular expression will go something like this: everything that start from small a to small z and capital A to capital Z, right? And it should at least have one character, right? I can also write star over here. Star means all characters and one means one character, right? At least one character it should hold, right? And same thing over here, parents are still satisfied or highly satisfied, right? And then when I run this thing again, then you will see something like this, right? Two scenarios and all the test pass. Let me put something over here. Let me segregate it. I'll just say, and I'll run this again. I'll say run as this, and you'll see that this thing has been executed twice, right? But it's actually, what it is doing, it is printing what is written inside it twice. So I have written manual tester, but it is printing the same thing over here, right? Same thing over here. If you take a look at the JUnit report, you will find that a feature about testers is executed, and see both the scenarios has been executed. I am a manual tester and I am an automation tester, right? In both the scenarios, whatever steps that we have given, both have been executed, right? But I need the results as well according to this. That is, if I am executing the manual tester scenario, then I should get the results, the steps for manual testers, and if I am executing the automation tester scenario, then I should get a result according to automation tester, right? So how are we gonna implement it? We're gonna see that right now, how we're gonna implement this thing.